Hi and welcome back to game 2. Got not as good a hand as the first game, but it's not worth mulliganing because I've got a 2-drop and a 4-drop and a 5-drop. But yeah, it's not as good, but it's still a pretty good hand. There's no reason not to make the spell bomb turn 1, but I thought of one. What was in my deck? Oh, Embersmith, yeah. Right, because I said if I draw a mountain and an Embersmith, then it makes it bad, and then I drew the Embersmith. So I thought it'd be quite poetic if I drew the mountain as well. So stay tuned to find out if I did. And I did not. But Plague Sting is a pretty good draw, so I was not complaining about that. Especially considering my opponent didn't do anything for the first 3 turns. I suppose he found a land and drew a card, which kind of counts. But yeah, I still don't make the spell bomb, especially considering I just drew the mountain. Just drew the Embersmith, and I just needed to draw a mountain for it to gain value. My draw didn't really. No way, it did. I was going to say my draw didn't really affect my plan, but it obviously did because I have the Blackleaf Goblin. But I'm not sure if I played it. No, because I thought I didn't really want to just straight trade, because Blackleaf Goblin is better than a 2/2, I was thinking at the time. But I'm not entirely sure if that was right. I think it would have been better if I just sent the Goblin in. I think because I thought I could somehow get him to a point where the Chrome Steed had to, I don't know, it's something about it having traded with the Mirror, well not quite traded, blocked the Mirror, Ichaclaw Mirror, and then he pops the spell bomb. Like, I wasn't giving him much credit. I think I was just trying to get ahead of myself and get into a situation where I get 3 counters on the Chrome Steed off Ichaclaw Mirror, because I'd rather he block that than my 4-drop. And then he pops the spell bomb, the Chrome Steed dies, or I draw removal or something. So yeah, I was kind of living in a fantasy land, but I didn't really have that much of a rush, so I'm not sure if it was particularly the wrong play. Again, I didn't make it because I didn't want it to just run into his Chrome Steed. And I was saying something about the Glinthawk there, I'm not sure what I was saying. Maybe I didn't want to attack with Plague Stinger because it just ran into Glinthawk, which seems like an obvious thing to say. So yeah, I shrink the Chrome Steed. Except he has Soul Parry, so I don't actually shrink the Chrome Steed, which isn't that big of a deal. He basically just kills my Ichaclaw Mirror for 2. Makes it better than that I didn't attack with a Plague Stinger. I still didn't make the Blackleaf Goblins because, I don't know, surprise value I guess. So yeah, I'd take the 4 here because there are no good targets for my Perilous Mirror. And here I misplayed. I said it in the video when I did it, because the fact that I kept I don't know, the fact that I hadn't played the Blackleaf Goblin for a few turns just made me forget I had it completely. And I obviously should have played it there because he had no good blocks. So that was just a complete misplay. I've kind of started playing this game pretty badly. I was just kind of still living in this fantasy world where I could get into some cool tricks with ambushing him with Blackleaf and finishing him off with it. But yeah, I definitely should have played it there. There's no argument I can make for that being correct. What I did, just play the Contagious Nim and pass. My opponent kind of made a mistake here though by activating his Glinthawk Idol. Because if he didn't activate his Glinthawk Idol, he could just attack for 4 for free. But the fact that he does activate it means I just block the Chrome Steed and kill his Glinthawk Idol, which he doesn't want to happen, so he actually just holds back with both his guys. So we both misplayed that turn, although mine was probably worse, because I just didn't even consider. I suppose he didn't consider when he activated Glinthawk Idol either. But yeah, I didn't feel like I needed to play the Spider just yet, so I'd rather get my card drawing online, I mean, if worst comes to worst, I just make the spider next turn. He might make an equipment in that turn, which would be obviously great for me. But otherwise, I'm just taking 4 damage, so it's not a big deal. I mean, even if I don't draw a 3-drop or whatever next turn that I can play and draw a card with, I can just make the spider a turn later. I didn't think that 4 damage would be particularly consequential. It's basically what I'm trying to get at. And I thought about drawing a card here, but then I realised that once he's got 2 4-power guys, then the damage obviously does become pretty relevant, so it's better to just make the spider. It was also interesting to see here that he didn't attack with both. I was expecting him to attack with both, because he'd basically deal me 4 and trade one of his guys for either a Perilous Mate or a Plague Stinger. Either way, that's fine with... I mean, fine for him. I might be wrong. Maybe he's got other plans, but I was expecting him to attack that turn. But obviously I don't know what cards he has in his hand or whatever. So he might... Or he might have a way in his deck of dealing with a spider, like an arrest, so he might know that he doesn't need to lose a guy at the moment when he can just arrest it later, as soon as he draws it. So yeah, still not attacking. Still waiting on something. Because my spider's basically holding off his entire team at the moment. So I'm fine to play the waiting game. I said something about Perilous Mate there. I think it means that my Perilous Mirror is now live whenever he kills it, because his 2-2 is no longer a Glinthawk idol, it's an actual 2-2. I draw a swamp, but that's no big deal because he's not pressuring me. I think my opponent mulliganed to 5 this game. I can't remember which game it was. One of my opponents mulliganed to 5 and then kind of drew out of it. I can't remember if it was this guy or the next round, but I can't bother to go back to the start of the video now because I'm doing the recording. The Quarter Shield was a fairly nice draw, but at that point in time didn't really mean much because all my guys were 1 toughness or 5 toughness and all his are 4. So the boost in 3 was actually irrelevant. It meant something later on in the game, but for that turn it didn't mean much. I drew Tangle Angler, which was nice. Another 5 toughness guy. And at this point I make the shield don't ping. I didn't really plan my turn out here because, well, not so much I didn't plan it, I didn't realise that Tangle Angler had 5 toughness. For some reason in my mind it had 4 toughness, which is why... This is what I say here in the video. You can see the mouse moving. I was unsure because I went to equip it and then I saw it had 5 toughness and I thought, oh, I didn't actually need to equip this turn. I could have just pinged him or whatever, or made the shield the turn after and maybe pinged the guy. But I mean, at this stage it didn't really matter. I equipped it to give it vigilance because I'd rather use my mana now. And like I said, giving one of my other guys 4 toughness is completely irrelevant when all his guys are 4 power. So, you know, give my Tangle Angler a bit more insurance, so to speak. He draws an Elvish Visionary, which is pretty good. I do like that card. And it's more reason why I should have held my Quarter Shield. But, I mean, like I said, that was not quite knowing the cards from the new set rather than active misplay. I don't know if people count that as a misplay. I usually don't. I've run out of counters on my Trigon at this point, and I don't like the fact that I drew a land, so I think I might pop the Spell Bomb. I can't really remember. I have to keep watching to find out. Me and my opponent have both drawn a lot of lands this game, but he didn't have 3 cards off the Trigon, so I'm doing better off it than him. He drew another land that turn by the looks of it, but then so did I. So yeah, we're both just in a stalemate. I have a lot of light draws at this point because I have the Tangle Angler, so I mean any poison guy is good, or infect guy is good because it gets me closer to that 7 power total. Any equipment is good, so like Silver Life Staff or Bladed Pinions. Here I thought I'd get some value out of my Spell Bomb. So, I mean, he has the 2 flying blockers. And so he animates this. I stop it blocking, so either he blocks with Snapcell Glider to not take a poison, then it shrinks and he can't double block the turn after, or he just takes 1 poison, which is what he does. So I just got a poison counter out of my Spell Bomb. I then drew the Fume Spitter, which basically achieves the same as him blocking, in that he can't double block profitably. If he double blocks, he just gets a counter on his guy. So yeah, I just leave the shield on the Plague Stinger. So that Fume Spitter was a pretty good draw. It's like my Plague Stinger gains first strike for a turn or something like that. He draws another Elvish Visionary, which is pretty good. It's nice to have more than one of those things. Yeah, my opponent does seem to like his Spell Bombs, because he's played 2 Horizon and 1 Horizon and 2 Origin so far. And, spoiler warning, they're not the only ones he plays this game. There we go. There's another Horizon. So he's chaining 3 Spell Bombs on this turn. So he's got 11 lands after he's found this, to my 12 at the moment. So yeah, like I said, we've both drawn a lot of lands, but that's fine with me because I think I'm drawing better than him overall. He's just drawing guys by the looks of it, whereas like I said, a lot of things I draw are good, including this Bladed Pinions, which is basically game, because combined with a Corded Shield, there are very few cards that get around that. So, I think, yeah, I use the Ember Smith to kill a guy, not Mir, because obviously damaging him is irrelevant. And then I think I equip both the put both equipments on the Black Cube Goblin, and I've moved the mouse over the glider there. I don't think I was actually considering hitting it. I think I was just discussing the rest of my turn. Something about if I hit the glider I can attack with Plague Stinger, I don't know, some rubbish like that. But yeah, I'm gonna eventually just equip both equipments to the Black Cleave Goblin and swing with a 2/4 first strike flying, which is not dealable with what he's got on board. So yeah, I'll equip that with both and then send it in for business. Oh no, I think I was debating hitting the sun. What's it called? The glider. I was going to call it Sunspear Shikari. I'm not sure why. What is it called? I can't remember. Anyway, I was considering hitting the glider and then Fume Spittering it just to take a flyer off his board, but I figured I can just Fume Spitter to gain value when he tries to, say, block a Plague Sting with the Quarter Shield at some point in the game. I just thought it would be better to keep the Fume Spitter in play in case he drew some kind of problem creature like Spikeshot Elder, because he did find a mountain last turn even though he played a forest. And I thought, it's strange that he's splashing only Galvanic Blast so far, but he's got 2 Horizon Spellbomb and 2 mountain, so that suggests he's got some other red cards, and possibly even something that costs 2 red like Sword Smelter or Spikeshot Elder. That was the thinking behind keeping Fume Spitter. So this turn I found no reason to change the plan. The Golem doesn't really bother me because I have 2 5 toughness guys. So yeah, I just put another 2 poison counters on him. He jumped that turn with his Snapcell Glider. That's the card I was thinking of. I just couldn't think of the name a second ago, and I can't see it on the screen because the resolution's too low in the video editor I'm using. So yeah, if you're wondering why not just read it, I can't at the moment, I can only see the pictures. Well, it's not so much low resolution, it's just shrunk on the screen so I can see the other editing bits, to use technical speak. So I drew a Molder Beast here, which was relevant. I just keep bashing him for 2 in the air. I don't think he blocks it, he just decides that he might as well take 2 and see if he draws an out. He must have thought about it and thought that keeping Glinthawk would be better. Oh no, maybe not, I was wrong, okay. My memory did not serve me correct. So he obviously didn't think he had any outs and just decided to start jumping. Or any outs that benefited having Glinthawk compared to 2 poison, I guess. I suppose maybe thought he could use his Glinthawk now because otherwise I can attack the Tangelanger and force his guys to block. I don't know, something like that. So yeah, I switch over the Pinions to my Molder Beast because that now blocks his entire team should he decide to send an all-in attack. But then I also left the Accorder Shield on my X1, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I suppose there's nothing I could shift it to profitably, so yeah, I guess that's fine. Yeah, I figured, I think I figured the Goblin with both equipments and the Molder Beast with Opinions block about equally efficiently. But I'd rather block with the Beast because that's the guy I'd rather lose, considering the Goblin has him on a 2-turn clock, whereas the Beast has him on a 4-turn clock. That was the thinking behind switching the Pinions. So I wasn't really planning to block with the Goblin, but I also was planning to keep it out of range of, say, Embersmith, because I was still wondering what red cards he could have, seeing as I'd only seen Blast and the Ogre that's in play. No, not the Ogre, the Golem. Silver Life Staff means I basically have him dead this turn, because I now have 4 power flying. But I thought about it for a while. Well, I faffed around really, I didn't really think. I was kind of confusing myself by talking while videoing. So I wanted to have 4 power flyers, but I also wanted to not get blown out by Dispense Justice, because obviously he might have drawn it this turn. But then I also wanted to not die on a swing back if he had something, like Blunt the Assault or whatever. So I had to find an attack that would not get me blown out by Dispense Justice, not get me killed on the swing back if he has, say, Untamed Might. So I wanted to keep 5 blockers back, or sorry, 4 blockers, because then Fume Splitter can kill a Mir, and also not make it so that I can't actually kill him. So 4 power in the air, enough attackers to play around Dispense Justice, and enough blockers to not die next turn. They were the 3 criteria I had to fill, basically. So I switched equipments around a bunch of times until I realised that I had to have the Bladed Pinions on the Goblin. Yeah, so all of this switching around is just because I was kind of talking through the game plan. I was talking through what I've just said to you now, but moving equipments around at the same time. So I was sort of my hands weren't really following my brain. So yeah, that's the 2 flyers. And I think about the guys that I'm most happy for him to block. So in fact, no, I was going to attack with those 2 because I was still talking about what the criteria were, and then I realised that his Golem can gain first strike, so it can first block first strike, resolve first strike, then Dispense Justice. But having said all that, I just attack with the Fume Splitter, which was the worst guy to attack with, because if he blocks that, I suppose it doesn't really matter, because if we go to damage, then he dies anyway. But the idea was that that's the one I want to sacrifice, and so if he's killing that, then I can't sacrifice it. So if he first strikes it, then I can't sacrifice it, but then I'd still have 4 creatures, so it didn't matter. So yeah, basically, if all he had was Dispense Justice, I wasn't losing that turn. But yeah, I've got the 4 blockers and the Fume Spitter to kill his Mir at this stage, which was what I was looking for. I let First Strike resolve, and then I see if he has anything before damage, which he doesn't, so he dies. He also complained a bit, he said I drew all lands in my deck or something like that, but I mean, I drew about as many as him, because he popped 2 spell bombs, so I think if you look at his land count -2, it's probably about the same as mine. So yeah, draw a couple of extra cards and see that they're all pretty good, and see you for the next round.